Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I would now like to call the December 3rd, 2024 Longmont City Council regular session to order. The live stream of this meeting can be viewed at the city's YouTube channel. It can also be viewed at the longmontpublicmedia.org/watch or on Comcast channels 8 or 880. Can we have a roll call, please, Crystal?
Yes. Mayor Peck.
Present.
Councilmember Christ.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Hidalgo Faring.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Yarbrough.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder to the public, in accordance with Council's rules of procedures, the rules for providing public comment are as follows. Only Longmont residents and employees of the City of Longmont may speak during first call public invited to be heard. You must provide your address on the sign-up sheet before the meeting, or we will not call your name. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and anyone may speak on second reading or public hearing item, and you are asked to add your name to the speaker list for that specific item before the meeting. Anyone may speak during final call public invited to be heard. Members of the audience shall refrain from disruptive, vulgar, or abusive language, applause, heckling, or other actions that interfere with the orderly function of the council. May I have a motion to approve the November 19th, 2024 regular session minutes?
Seconded.
It's been moved by Councilor Yarbrough, seconded by Councilor Christ. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Who are waiting for?
Oh, is that signed in to me? It is signed in to me. That's why mine popped up as,
I'm signed in on yours.
yes, but when I filled in for you. I guess it automatically.
I voted yay.
Yeah.
So that
No.
passes 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent.
I wonder if I can
Sign out.
sign out, yeah. Interesting. I thought it would have, yeah, and then,
So we're having a couple of computer problems because both of our computers are signed in to Mayor Pro Tem Susie Hidalgo. So that's why she was waiting for my vote.
yes.
But she voted twice, so that's okay. We're now at the agenda. We do have one agenda revision. Can the city clerk let us know what that is?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 2024-84 was inadvertently left off of this evening's agenda for second reading. So if we can open up the public hearing, and if anyone would like to speak on that item, and then continue that to the December 17th meeting under ordinances and second reading and ordinance on second reading and public hearing.
Just for verification, open up the public hearing on second ordinances.
Yes.
Thank you. Pardon me?
Yeah, I don't know what
84, it's not showing up on our, okay.
the title of it, sorry.
Correct.
Correct.
So can you tell us the title of that ordinance? We have no idea. You know, when we get to second reading, Crystal, let us know at that time.
Yes, will do.
Thank you. So we are now at, we don't have any agenda revisions. So are there any motions from council for future agenda items? Councilor Martin. Oops, try it again.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. Yes, I have two. The first one is that I need to announce that, as promised last summer to the City Council, that since I cannot return to Longmont permanently to reside here for the remainder of my term, I am resigning this seat as of December 31st, 2024. I beg the council's indulgence to read a statement of 3 minutes or less explaining the implications of that and expressing my gratitude to the public. May I?
Sure, go ahead.
It is with regret that I announce my resignation from the Longmont City Council effective December 31st, 2024. I was persuaded to run for office in 2017. While I'd always intended to spend my retirement in public service, I never imagined elected office as part of that plan. But I have found it a privilege and an honor to serve. My oath of office was a promise to Longmont's people. Keeping my word to you has been a guiding principle. For 7 years, I've served with diligence, the use of evidence, and straight talk. This summer, everything changed. Since May, my only daughter's health forced me to spend most of my time in New York. I found a secondary residence there. Thanks to email and remote video conferencing technology, I've been able to continue to meet most of my commitments as a ward representative. When council questioned how long this would continue, I made a second promise. If, by the end of 2024, I could not return to living in my ward full-time, I would resign my seat. Council chose to end my privilege of remote participation on December 2nd. Now they've agreed to allow me to read this statement in person on December 3rd. Thank you. I chose the date of my resignation to minimize the cost of replacing me and the amount of time that the Ward 2 seat is vacant. 1. When I knew my absence would be uncertain, it was already too late to hold a special election this last November. And had I resigned in July, the seat would have been vacant for several months. And if I had resigned any later, it would, because the council would have had to hold a special election, it would have been vacant for more than 6 months. Holding a special election would have cost the city an amount running to 6 figures, or think about it as the burdened cost of a police officer to the city. During the year before the end of a council term, the charter gives council 30 days to fill a vacancy. We are now in that year. Announcing now as of the 31st gives the council an extra month to understand the recruiting and appointment process. So I wanted to make sure that they had the time to do the process right and undertake that trust to the city. During this difficult time, I've done my best to serve my constituents. Now I hope to surrender my office as seamlessly as possible. I know that the council will make a responsible choice from among Longmont's engaged residents. My deepest thanks and best wishes to the people of Longmont, the city's excellent staff, and its council and mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Christ.
Councilor Martin, you said you had 2 items. Was that both of them?
The second one was in case the first one didn't allow me to read the statement.
Okay. So mine is more in regards to submission of documents, and I was speaking with Becky Doyle and her team about item 9E, which is the notice of discontinuation of utility services, and asked if they could maybe give us an idea of what the door hanger looks like and what would be eliminated, and maybe just a mock-up of the new card. It doesn't have to be a final version, and along with the suggestion that Councilor Martin made that we post letters that we send out to the public, then when we come up with the final one, if that could be posted there, that would be helpful, that we know what's going out to the public. So I'm just mentioning that so it's on the public record.
Thank you. Are there any other councilors that want to add agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to our city manager's report.
No report, Mayor, Council.
Okay. And we do not have any special reports or presentations, so we're going directly to first call public invited to be heard. Remember that you need to state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. The first one is Will Haas. Is it Hans or Haas?
It looks like
Harris?
Harris? Harris?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Come on up, Will. Mayor Pro Tem can read much better than I can.
It's all that student writing.
Do you turn on the, there you go, Will.
What do I need to state?
Your name and address, please.
Oh, okay, thank you. My name is Will Harris, and I live at 1900 Ken Pratt, an apartment. And I just moved here recently, actually for a job. So I actually work at the airport down in Boulder, but I'm a pilot there. And, you know, I heard about some of the recent comments about the Boulder, or the airport up here in Longmont, getting some negative comments. And I just want to remind people how important it is to have this airport up here. Even though I fly primarily out of the Boulder Airport, Longmont serves as our primary emergency landing spot. We fly into the mountains a lot, and it's usually the first airport we hit coming out. And so it's very important for us. And it also serves a great, you know, deal to this community. It has a lot of great, you know, economic factors, bunch of pilot jobs there, a bunch of people working at the airport, and I just think airports in general are important. So, you know, I really encourage people to support it in general, and support I saw you guys are putting in provisions for a new hangar, and that's really important. A bunch of my friends have planes, and it's really hard to find hangars, so that's really important. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you for your comments, Will.
Yeah.
John Harris.
Hello, it's Jonathan Harris. I'm at not related to Will, at the same address as well. My comment is very short. I also pilot, recent move to Longmont, but I do understand there has been a lot of issues with pilots in the area and noise abatement in that realm. And I know there's work that the pilots can do to do better. But with that in mind, I do believe that there's a massive economic interest with the airport here, and for safety as well. And also with the pilots in terms of flight training. But yeah, that's really about it on my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Chris Newcomer.
Hi, I'm. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
no, I'm getting ready to just put the timer
Sorry,
on.
scared me.
She's starting you.
Here I
I
go.
never realized what it must look like on the other side.
I'm Chris Newcomer. I live at 1549 Harlequin Drive. I'm with the Longmont Concert Band. I'm on the board and unfortunately not a musician. But if you're not familiar with the band, it's been in Longmont since the 80s when a retired person moved here and decided Longmont should have one, realized Longmont didn't, and started it with a handful of musicians, and now it's beyond 75. What I love about it most, why I'm so devoted to it, is it's so accessible. It represents, there are members of the band who are in their 80s. There are members of the band who are in their 20s. They came out of our public schools with musical ability and nothing to do with it. So it gives them a chance to play and share it with other people. I love that about it. What I love most about it is that their concerts are free. And it's the only place, if you want to hear classical music, which personally I don't listen to in the radio, but I appreciate it. And it's an amazing thing when 75 musicians play a 45-piece of music. It's really neat. And I'm sorry, I get really nervous in front of a microphone. So anyway, part of my job is to try to help them get the word out about their concerts, because they are free, but nobody knows they exist. Well, no, that's not true, but So I do an ad in the Longmont Times Call, and I do what I can. A lot of our audience is not, everybody says, well, put it online. A lot of our audience is not online and isn't going to be online. And I don't want that to be a limitation. We can't afford advertising because we're free. So we do what we can. But every time I get one of these in the mail, or in my utility bill, I think, wouldn't it be neat to be in there? So I kind of got that under my collar. And I hit Aaron at a coffee with council not all that long ago. And he suggested I talk to the city manager's office. So I called, and I found out that to be in City Line, you have to be somebody who's under contract with the city to provide something or other. So here's my next thought. So in the summertime, the band performs in the parks. They pay the fees. It's all on them. But that's the park concerts are my favorite because to me there's nothing like sitting in a park on a sunny afternoon, listening to Star Spangled Banner and band music. But that's just me. So it dawned on me, okay, so what if the Longmont Concert Band had a contract to play in the parks in the summertime? We would still do it they do it now on their own. They pay the city fees and the insurance costs and all that to play. We continue to do that, but we had a city contract to do it. And then we could get in City Line where all the elderly residents. I know this
I see where you're going with this.
This is kind of convoluted, but it reaches it reaches everybody. It reaches everybody. All those people over 80 who wish they had something to do. I started going to concerts with my mother. She lived at Hover, and that's my 3 minutes, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
But this was quite interesting, so
Well, it's kind of off
thank
the
you.
wall too. I'm sorry. Okay.
Now, the city will talk with you about that.
Okay.
Sandy will talk to you.
Lance Whitaker.
Yeah, no.
Wrong button. Hello, Mayor and City Council. My name is Lance Whitaker, 1750 Collier Street. I support the airport. I support music in Longmont. And I still think Rhythm on the River is a great idea. Today is National Trick Shot Day. It is also National Giving Day and National Roof Over Your Head Day. That's some thought for mayor and council today. Tomorrow, though, is the most important national day of the year, and that's National Santa's Santa List Day. So if you're not on it, well, you don't got much time to get on it. So, and we all know he only checks it twice. So tomorrow is National Santa's List Day. Have a good day.
Thank you for that information. M. Martin? I don't know what the M's for. Oh, it's you?
Oh.
Okay. Insurance. Drew Sorrells.
Good evening, City Council members, Mayor Peck. I'm Drew Sorrells at 328 Grant Street in Longmont. And I just came this evening to express some gratitude and appreciation for Marsha Martin and what she has done for our city of Longmont. I've had the privilege of witnessing Marsha's dedication and tireless efforts toward creating equitable and sustainable housing policies. Her commitment to ensuring that all residents have access to affordable, safe, and quality housing is not only commendable, but essential for the future of Longmont. Marsha's knowledge and advocacy for good housing policy has been instrumental in moving our city towards a more inclusive and vibrant future. She consistently was able to prove that she was not afraid to stand up for what is right, even in the face of opposition. Her work on the council reflects a deep understanding of the complexities, and she approached these issues with compassion and intelligence. Marcia was not only a staunch advocate for renewable energy, but also a strategist who understood how to align policies, resources, and community engagement to make this vision a reality. From supporting innovative energy programs to supporting partnerships that expanded our city's access to sustainable technologies, Marcia's efforts have positioned Longmont as a leader in environmental stewardship. And with that, Marcia has helped to prove that Longmont can achieve ambitious goals with the right leadership. I honor and appreciate Marcia's contributions to the city of Longmont. Her leadership and vision have left a noticeable mark on our community, and I fully respect her decision to prioritize her family during this time. While her presence on the council will be greatly missed, we know her legacy of advocating for positive change will continue to inspire us all. Thank you, Marcia, for everything you've done for Longmont.
Thank you, Drew. Dan Sorrells?
Mayor Peck, City Council. My name is Dan Sorrells. I'm at 328 Grant Street, and I am here also to express my gratitude to Councilor Martin. My first experience with her, actually, I don't know if you knew this, was through email. It was regarding the West Side Tavern and kind of those early days. But as I heard through the grapevine that you would be resigning tonight, I started to think, some of the qualities and in my interaction with you. So these are in no particular order, but let me just go through them. First, you're conscientious. There's, I've always had a high degree of integrity in everything that I've done with you, or you've done through advocacy groups. You're certainly dedicated and generous. As you had mentioned in your statement, straightforward and direct, which is really valuable. I never felt like you were beating around the bush, and your word was your bond. Certainly committed as an advocate, a tireless advocate, for making the city a much better version of itself, and for more and better housing opportunities for everyone, always willing to learn and listen, but never betraying your core principles of fairness and or a strong sense of justice. And of course, a loving mother making the sacrifices, real sacrifices. You have big shoes to fill, and I don't envy the council task to fill them. But I'm sure you will. You'll find the right advocate for that seat. Your presence and imprint won't be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Scott Stewart?
Scott Stewart, 229 Grant Street. I found the narrative around the airport to be misleading. Council, Mayor Peck, sorry. I found the narrative around the airport to be misleading. From the city website, frequently asked questions. The general fund money for the city is used. No general fund money from the city is used to operate or maintain the airport. I find this to be quite a bit misleading, since we do that 50% administrative transfer fee discount coupon. This idea is repeated throughout the community.
To taxpayers, the airport is an enterprise fund of the city, meaning it is intended to be self-sustaining. It does not directly receive city funding in its budget. For a meeting like tonight, again, we're all volunteers. Levi's time goes back to the city. Kayla's time as our recording secretary actually bills back to us in an administrative transfer fee from the city. When the city attorney, when the accountants, it all comes back to the airport's budget, which is paid for largely by rents, revenues. And there are federal and state grants that go into projects at the airport. So yes, there are taxpayer funds. It's largely federal and state. It's not coming from the city.
We understand the administrative transfer fee is discounted, so that's not a completely factual statement.
Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you for explaining the Tabor Enterprise, which was the main reason that my light was on, was because, the city cannot invest tax revenues that it collects in the airport. That's the law. That's the taxpayers' bill of rights. So, except for...
I think you know where I stand on this. If you doubled the, you get revenue from hangar fees, from fuel surcharges or taxes on fuels. Taxes on fuels are insignificant. It's less than $8,000 in a year. Hangar fees, your revenue comes in at $454,000. It's insignificant to deal with what you need to deal with. Seriously consider a operational landing fee to generate some real revenue for this. You could double the number of hangars, double the square footage of hangar space, and still not come up with the money you need. If you do operational landing fees, you solve a lot of your problems. And we're not talking about a lot of money. We're talking about $10, $5. Start with $5. I mean, at current operational rates, you're looking at over $500,000 worth of revenue. That exceeds what your hangar rate is. So let's get the financial house in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Seeing no one else on the list, I will close first call public invited to be heard. Hang on just a second. And we will go to our consent agenda and introduction and reading by title of first reading ordinances. Crystal, would you mind reading the bills on the consent agenda into the record?
Yes, Mayor. The second reading and public hearing for all ordinances introduced on this consent agenda will be held on December 17th, 2024. Item 9A is ordinance 2024-85, a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for expenses and liabilities of the City of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024. Ordinance 9B, or item 9B is ordinance 2024-86, a bill for an ordinance conditionally approving the vacation of one utility easement located within the boundaries of the Prospect Stafford subdivision, replat A, generally located at 733 Ken Pratt Boulevard, west of South Main Street and south of Ken Pratt Boulevard. Item 9C is ordinance 2024-87, a bill for an ordinance conditionally approving the vacation of 3 easements and a portion of 1 drainage easement located within the boundaries of the Fairgrounds Marketplace final plat, generally located south of Rogers Road and west of South Hover Street. Item 9D is ordinance 2024-88, a bill for an ordinance conditionally approving the vacation of a slope easement and a drainage easement and a portion of an emergency access easement, all located within the boundaries of the proposed MS Strong subdivision, filing number 2, replat B, generally located north of Great Western Avenue, east of 3rd Avenue, and south of Ken Pratt Boulevard. Item 9E is ordinance 2024-89, a bill for an ordinance amending section 14.20.150 of the Longmont Municipal Code concerning notice of discontinuance of utility service. Item 9F is resolution 2024-87, a resolution of the Council of the City of Longmont, Colorado, finding that the petition for annexation of certain parcels of land located in Boulder County, State of Colorado, known as the 8902 Quill Road annexation, generally located in the northwest corner of Section 17, Township 2, North Range 69, west of the 6th Principal Meridian, substantially complies with the Colorado Revised Statutes, Section 31-12-1071. Item 9G, Resolution 2024-88, a resolution amending rate of contribution to the FPPA statewide retirement plan administered by the Fire and Police Pension Association for reentry and affiliating police officers for the City of Longmont. Item 9H is Resolution 2024-89, a resolution amending rate of contribution to the FPPA statewide retirement plan administered by the Fire and Police Pension Association for reentry and affiliating firefighters for the City of Longmont. Item 9I is Resolution 2024-90, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving an amendment to the cooperative agreement between the city and the Longmont Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 6, for January 1, 2022 through December 31, 2024. Item 9J is Resolution 2024-91, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving an amendment to the cooperative agreement between the city and the Longmont Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 6, for January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2026. Item 9K is approve 3 capital improvement program amendments.
Thank you, Crystal. Do councilors want to pull any of the items on the agenda? Councilor Christ.
I would like to pull 9F, please.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to pull? Seeing no one, do you want to make a motion, Councilor Christ?
Yes. I move the consent agenda minus 9F.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. What?
Later.
Okay. So the motion is to approve the consent agenda minus 9F. That was made by Councilor Chris. I seconded that. And the motion carries 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. And I guess you're going to make a comment later. We're now at the public hearing on 2024-82. This is our second reading, and the bill is 2024-84, a bill for an ordinance approving an amendment to the Vance Brand Municipal Airport Hangar Parcel H60 lease and authorizing the consent to assignment to Richard F. Shaden, LLC, the tenant. Is there anyone in council that would like to comment or have questions about this bill? Seeing none, I will open up the public hearing. Yeah, but it is the second reading. Yeah. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to 2024-84? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing on 2024-84 and ask for a motion.
I'll move ordinance 2024-84.
Yep.
We need a motion to continue that to the next meeting on the 17th.
Oh, that's
correct?
right. I'm sorry.
Not this. The one that was just read into the record is on the agenda this evening. Ordinance 84 was not added to the agenda this evening, so we'll open that public hearing and
Correct. I
continue.
think the motion
I
was
heard
84.
It's 82.
It's 82.
I said 84.
And I said yes. So
We want 82.
let me make that again. The motion was for a bill for an ordinance 2024-82. And that is what I need to open up the public hearing for 2024-82. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing on Bill 2024-82. Let's vote. You know what? I need to go back. I totally misread this, and I'm sorry. So we're going to go back to the second reading on 2024-82 because I did make a mistake and read the bill for 84. So starting all over, the second reading on Bill 2024-82 is a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for expenses and liabilities of the City of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024. Are there any questions from council or comments? Seeing none, I will open up the public hearing on 2024-82. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address these additional appropriations and expenses and liabilities? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing on 2024-82. Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Susie Hidalgo Faring made the motion to pass it. I seconded it. We voted, and that passed 6-0.
Or do we need to revote?
Do we need to revote on that? Let's have a motion.
Mayor and Council, Eugene May, I think you were trying to start over again.
Yeah.
So
Let's
I think
vote.
you should make a motion and vote on the second try.
Yeah, I'll move ordinance 2024-82.
And it was seconded by Councilor Martin. The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Susie Hidalgo Faring. Let's vote.
I moved it, and Councilmember Martin seconded. Martin.
Now I'm straightened out.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next one. The next one is 2024-84. And this is the one that we were talking about earlier that should have been last week. Or
That's-
last month.
It should be on this evening's agenda, but it was left off of this agenda. So I can read it into the record, and then we'll open the public hearing and then continue it to December 17th.
Okay.
It's ordinance 2024-84, a bill for an ordinance approving an amendment to the Vance Brand Municipal Airport Hangar Parcel H60 lease and authorizing the consent to assignment to Richard F. Shaden, LLC, tenant.
Thank you. We need to open up the public hearing on this. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address 2024-84? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing on 2024-84, and it will be brought up at the next meeting, regular session meeting. Yeah, we need to make a motion.
Okay, so I'll move to continue this on the 17th at the next regular session.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Susie Hidalgo Faring, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Let's vote. We're now at items removed from the consent agenda. I will turn this over to Councilor Christ.
Oh, there's nothing on here. Wait,
It
where'd
came up
go?
and went away.
Wait.
Oh, so that passed 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. I'll turn this over to Councilor Christ, who removed 9F from the consent agenda. Councilor Christ.
Nice. Thank you, Mayor. Well, let me bring this up here. Okay, I'm looking at the petition, and this is, I think, page 107. I don't know if it's on ours, but if we look at the petition to annex, and number 3B, III, said area is urban or will be urbanized in the near future. And I would say that this property does not meet that urban definition. First of all, just a little backstory. We've had constituents come to Coffee with Council, particularly the one that Councilor Yarborough and I were at in October, asking if we can keep property agricultural. And adjacent to that, we've also had many people on the west side express concerns for natural areas on the west side. You know, for instance, with the Dry Creek Park natural area. So at that time, we discussed that it's tough when farmers stop farming and they sell their land. It gets developed. However, this particular parcel is actually actively being farmed, and the buildings that are on these parcels are all leased out to agricultural activities. When we say that it's an urban area, that I was looking up the definition of urban, it says that, you know, it's town-like or city-like, you know, is more dense and has the accoutrement, if you will, of a town or a city. In other words, a lot of city services, a lot of available services. And these particular properties do not have that in the area right adjacent to Airport Road. In other words, it's quite a drive to get to grocery. I was talking to people in the commercial area down there, and they were say that there just isn't enough. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of land over there to develop more commercial area. I also want to mention that not only is there an active farm there, there's a goat farm, and there's other agricultural properties there. But there's county roads just north of there in the Schlegel subdivision, which seems to indicate that it is not yet urban. I would call it more of a transitional area between the Clover Basin area and the county area of Schlegel, the Schlegel Farm area. So I would say that these properties do not meet that particular standard or requirement of CRS 31-12-104. And I believe and would move that we not adopt this at this time until it has become more urban in that area.
Call on Councilor Rodriguez.
Wait and see if there's a second.
Yeah. Did you second it? You will.
Okay, seconded, but not.
Okay, so Councilor Christ made the motion that we not annex this property at this time, but wait until it becomes more of an urban area, seconded by Councilor McCoy.
No, Martin.
Oh, shoot, Martin. The other.
Actually is not up for annexation today.
No, I know.
Okay.
It's up for consideration.
We're finding that the petition is.
So, is there any discussion? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I disagree with the findings of Councilmember Christ, largely in part that while that property might be actively used agriculturally by the owner of the property who is petitioning for annexation as a means to an end, if you will, I find that it is completely surrounded generally by developed properties, which in my opinion is urbanized and would constitute being urbanized in the near future to match the consistency with surrounding properties. And when it says said area, I don't interpret that as the specific parcel. I interpret area as multiple parcels encompassing a larger framework of land, which again, this outside of maybe one smaller parcel, which is also technically up for annexation, has all been developed. It's all been developed. And to say that the county roads that constitute the Schlegel subdivision constitute some sort of agricultural or non-developed purpose is misleading, because it's just an unannexed enclave that is completely developed within the city of Longmont boundaries. It just happens to be the unincorporated enclave that has decided not to come in as an annexed subdivision within the city at this time. So I disagree with the interpretation of 31-12-104-3 or 31-12-105-3, whichever one that specifically meets. And I find that this piece of property statutorily meets the requirements for annexation.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I agree with Councilmember Rodriguez and would like to add that this, if you talk about the, I think that the urbanization usually refers more to the horizontal infrastructure that provides utility access to a developed parcel rather than where the grocery stores and stuff are. And so that strengthens, that interpretation strengthens this recommendation. I also would like to voice a concern about the Schlegel enclave that I feel like houses with septic tanks in the middle of the city are an accident waiting to happen. And so anything that I think puts a little impetus to Schlegel to annex into the city of Longmont is a good thing. So I will vote against this motion and in favor of moving the process forward.
So before I call on you, Councilor Christ, I want to ask a question. Who is asking for this annexation? Is it a developer or is it the farmer? Does the property owner,
Good evening, Mayor, members
Good
of council.
evening.
Again, Grant Penland, Planning Service Director. It is the prospective developer who's actually requesting.
Okay.
The owners actually have to sign the petitions for annexation to make them legal, and they have done that and met the statutory requirement more than 51%.
So it is not that the farmers want to continue to farm this land. They want to develop it.
Their intent, is my understanding, is that they'd like to sell the property for ultimate development.
Okay. Councilor Christ.
Okay, so before you sit down, Mr. Penland, this is actually part of a living trust. So the farmer, is the farmer still living, or is this his heirs, his or her heirs?
That I am not aware of.
Okay. I want to go back to the definition of urban, which says urban is defined as having the aspects of a town or city. And when you bring up those definitions, what it says is the central part of a neighborhood with its business or shopping area. Also, a densely populated area, especially as contrasted with the country or suburbs. And when Councilor Martin is talking about a large number of properties that have septic systems, what we're saying is these are still in the country. They don't have city services yet. And I agree with you. That's part of the problem. That's why it's still agricultural, because it's not city yet. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying never. I'm saying I think we have a little more work we have to do there. And then the thing that hasn't been addressed is the concern of people that came, constituents that came to us and said we would like to keep that agricultural. And we've had others on the west side of town express concern about losing natural areas. You know, most recently about the prairie dog villages in Dry Creek Park. But I'm just saying agricultural land is at a premium right now, and it's space that people are looking for, natural areas that they can, have in their area to enjoy and to give space and relaxation space, I guess you'd say.
So I'm going to ask a question that possibly our city attorney can, if you don't want to answer it in public, you can advise us by email. What risk do we have if it is zoned MUE or MU and we say it cannot be annexed because we want it to stay agricultural? Do we have the right, if our code says that this land is zoned something different if it is annexed? Does that make sense?
Mayor and Council, Eugene May, City Attorney. I'm trying to parse it out. So it's unannexed, so it's in Boulder County.
Correct.
So Boulder County has land use authority over it now. The statute provides that the governing body makes these findings on these criteria. It's a legislative matter. Your findings would generally be determinative. The zoning, when it comes in, I mean, it's a little odd, or I'm displaced because this is a resolution for statutory findings. We're not discussing the annexation itself, just whether it meets the statutory criteria.
Correct.
So the annexation and the zoning that would come into the city is a later step.
Okay.
So if that's your concern, then it seems like it would be brought up at that later step.
And I guess my point that I was making to Councilor Christ is even if we annexed it, it would not, and you already know this, it would not stay agricultural if we did annex it. It would go into our city codes and land use definitions
But I'm saying it doesn't meet the qualifications
to do that.
to go forward
Okay.
with the CRS code as written.
Okay, seeing no one else in the queue, let's vote. What?
What happened to your?
Mine got weird.
That is.
It got really weird.
Can you refresh it?
Where's my refresh?
Oh, it's on that side. What happened? You almost look like it's small. Yeah, I wonder if you were leaning on it.
Oh, no, that's big. Okay, live meeting.
Yeah, there it is.
Whoops.
Mayor and council?
Yes.
I think there's some questions regarding the motion. So,
To deny a resolution.
Councilmember Chris, you vote yes. If you don't agree with her, you vote no.
Do you want me to read the motion to you?
Perhaps. I thought I heard don't act on. And deny and don't act on are significantly different.
What, Counselor Christ, what is the language you used? This says to deny or to not act on.
The language as written with the motion.
You're not read. I know it should.
As written, what we're voting on is to deny Resolution R 2024-87, finding that the petition for annexation, hold on, I've got to scroll down, substantially complies with the Colorado Revised Statutes section. So by voting yes, you would saying that it does not comply with the Colorado Revised Statutes section 31-12-1071. Agree? Does that make sense?
Well, the question was whether you intended that to be your motion. Or did you intend your motion to not act on it?
I would like to not act on it at this time, actually.
So we need to change
And I don't
the
know if we need
motion.
to deny it and move it to another agenda or bring it back later, but I would like to not act on it and remove it from the consent agenda. Okay, so now that would.
Now where to go?
Yeah, she's rewriting it.
She's revising it.
Yeah. Do we need to revote then?
I'm waiting for their discussion.
Okay.
Yes, the motion is changed.
So we have to re-vote on it,
Yeah, okay.
but.
You guys?
No.
Well, yeah, they changed.
So,
I thought they were gonna say something.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, I was waiting on you.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we're all,
Yes.
Wait, means.
okay. City Attorney.
Mayor and council, so I heard Councilmember Chris reference 3112-107, which are the requirements for the petition. The criteria are contained in 3112-104. The specific criteria of urbanization is
in that CRS.
is in 104.
Yes, agreed.
So as the basis of your not acting, I think you want to reference
3112-104. So could you change that last line where it says Colorado Revised Statute Section 31-12 and change it to -104? And would you like me to put 3BIII?
It's 104-1B.
Okay.
Is the urbanization criteria.
Okay. I think it's 3B. Sorry. Is that too technical? Okay.
Mayor Council, it's 104-1B in the statute. It's little 3 in the petition.
Okay. Okay. Not that it's confusing.
You're always interesting, though.
Thank you. Are we voting again? Yes. Okay.
And that motion failed 5-1 with Councilor Christ up for it, and myself, Mayor Pro Tem Hidalgo Ferring, Councilor Rodriguez, Councilor Martin, and Councilor Yarbrough against, and with Councilor McCoy absent. Okay. Does anybody need a break here?
Oh, we have to vote. We still need to vote on this one.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I move Resolution 2024-87 that the annexation petition is in compliance with Colorado Revised Statutes.
It's been moved by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Yarbrough, that petition 2024-87 is in compliance with the Colorado Revised Statutes. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, let's vote. And that it disappeared again. It passes 5-1 with Councilor Christ in opposition and Councilor McCoy absent. Now we are moving. Does anybody need a break up here, or? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
How are you?
Good. And he had a fly, and he's going to send it out to everybody.
Great.
tomorrow.
Oh,
Fantastic.
The mayor,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Chris? Yeah, Councilman.
Oh,
So we are back in session, so we are now going to go on to general business. I move that we recess as the Longmont City Council and convene as the Board of Directors of the Longmont General Improvement District Number 1.
Second.
It's been moved by myself, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hidalgo Faring. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. And that carries 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. What we have here is a resolution. It's RLGID 2024-05, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Longmont General Improvement District Number 1, enacting a supplemental budget and making an additional appropriation for the expenses and liabilities of the district for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, let's vote. Oh, I thought. Okay, I move resolution R-LGID-2024-05.
Second.
It's been moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Martin. I don't know why I keep saying that. That's true. Are there any questions now? No, seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. May I have a motion to reconvene at the City Council?
I move to reconvene as the Longmont City Council.
second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hidalgo Faring to adjourn as the Board of Directors of the Longmont General Improvement District Number 1 and reconvene as the Longmont City Council, seconded by Councilor Christ. Are there any discussions or questions? Seeing none, let's vote. That carries 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. We now have on our general business a presentation and approval of the 2025 Human Services Funding Allocation. And I see Alberto Mendoza and Christina Pacheco.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Peck, members of council. I'm Christina Pacheco, Human Services Director for the city. Tonight, we're here to present recommendations for our Human Services Funding Program. Eliberto and I are going to present jointly and provide some background, framework, process, and considerations for the program moving forward. Tonight, we are here to answer any questions you might have about the recommendations that were included in your packet and ask if council will approve the recommendations as written or provide further direction. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to Eliberto to talk about background.
Good evening, Mayor Peck and Council. Eliberto Mendoza, Human Services Program Manager for the City of Longmont. So, this is a program that's been going on for many years, where the City of Longmont has used 3% of its general fund revenues to provide human services. Typically, that's broken up into two parts. One part is the human services grant application process that we're going to present tonight, but also in your council comm is what we use for homelessness services as well. I'm going to focus primarily on the human services piece tonight, but if you have any questions about the homelessness piece, we can discuss that as well. So this year, for 2025, it was $2,740,716 that was designated. 54% of that funding, around 1.4, is going to support safety net programs through our online application process. And of course, we got funding recommendations for you all to review and approve tonight. I do want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing. I think I brought to the council last year the same situation. You can see here that as the years have gone by, and I think Christina will talk to this more later on in the presentation, we just continue to see growth and request and need, and not much of growth in our human services funding allocation. So that is just something that we are seeing and want to have further conversation later on, but we wanted to show you the numbers over the last few years of what we've seen. So to talk about how the human services funding works, we work and create agreements with agencies that provide programs and services to low-income and moderate-income Longmont community members to fill the needs around a whole range of safety net services, everything from food security to mental health, to case management, even transportation for veterans. We provide, the City of Longmont supports a lot of different programs. And these are all connected to our human services needs assessment that was done in 2020. We're in the process right now of working with our housing community investment partners in the city to do a new human services needs assessment as part of their HUD-mandated 5-year comp plan, and that will be coming to council probably next year as well. And so we'll update that. And so, of course, as we talked about, we prioritize housing stability, food, nutrition, health and well-being, self-sufficiency, education and skill building, and safety and justice. We coordinate the process, and we make recommendations to council. It is a long process that starts when the applications are due in late August, and we really don't vote until November after we do hearings with all the agencies and hear about their applications. So it's a lot of work that the board and staff, and this year, we actually invited other staff to be involved as well. We created a subject matter expert portion of the evaluation where we invited staff from senior services and children, youth, and families, folks that are on the ground that work with many of the same families that our nonprofits work with, to provide input on the applications. And that was really beneficial to get those different perspectives this year. And we also look at making sure that agencies are sound financially and that they're addressing true community needs in the process. And so we provided a formulaic allocation process to make it as formulaic as possible. Once folks get their scores in, we look at scores. We don't necessarily look at individual agencies. We try and be as objective as possible we've created a formula, and that's what these recommendations are based on. What we're seeing is, again, reiterating, due to the increase in number of requested amounts, we had to lower the percentages of our highest rank, our highest scores this year. And so, we continue to see just more requests than what we have to give. And so that just means that we have to spread out the pot a little more. And we'll talk more a little about that. But again, we also, a few years ago, the board said we're not going to look at historical funding. We're going to look at that year, what they're applying for. And so we reset every funding to zero, and we look at on the merits of the current application. We have ceilings, and what these ceilings basically do is just make sure that we know what we want to spend. We don't always spend those ceilings because we can't control who applies for what and how much they apply for. And so we make sure that no one agency receives more than 50% of the total ceiling, and nobody did this year. So I think I'm turning over to you for these, or is that still me? Still me.
Go ahead. Yep.
Still me. Okay. We're tag teaming. So this year, 51 agencies applied, 62 programs, over 2.4 million. We only have 1.42 to allocate, so close to $1 million. We did our agency hearings. We did 8 agency hearings between August and October. These lasted about 2 hours. We scored, again, I got to score, the board scored, and our SME scored, and we got averages, and we did an allocation based on the formulaic process, and we are recommending 1.4 to fund 46 and 58 programs, which is 3 more than last year. Every year it seems that we can increase the number of programs that we fund. So those are our recommendations, and you can see these are the percentages of how the funding. Once again, education and skill building. There's just a lot of nonprofit child care providers that are in the city, and they apply for funding, and so they're typically one of our most funded priority areas. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to.
Okay. So, as Eliberto talked about, the needs continue to outpace the resources. Over the last 2 years, we've held nonprofit engagement sessions and have been really clear that with our nonprofit partners that we need to make some fundamental changes to the program. As Eliberto said, it's we're getting spread pretty thin. Staff will bring back that discussion in quarter 1, possibly early quarter 2 of 2025, before we roll out the funding applications, to really make some, have council make some decisions on how to move forward with that. And we've been really clear, as I said, with our nonprofit partners that we need to do that work. And with that, we are asking tonight if you have any questions about the recommendations, and have that discussion, and then adopt the recommendations for 2025 or provide further direction.
Are there any questions or comments from councilors? Okay, Councilor Christ.
I just wanted to acknowledge that I can tell you've had a lot of mindful consideration and analysis. There's a lot of analysis and discussions about how to do this. And I very much agree with your recommendations. I think you've done a lot with very little. And so I'm impressed, actually, with what I saw in your information. I do want to know what we can do to help. I mean, is it consolidating agencies? Is it finding other funding sources? And I'm sure that's what's going to come up in quarter 1.
Yeah, so. Mayor Peck, Councilmember Christ, yes, we will have that discussion through the 2 years that we've had these engagement sessions. A lot of the ideas have come from the nonprofit organizations themselves, and so we think that it'll be really helpful to have that robust conversation and figure out a path forward for 2026 funding.
Do you think there's duplication of effort out there that could be consolidated?
Part of what we've talked about is how nonprofits can leverage what they're doing with one another. So a good example is around food security. So the Our Center and Community Food Share have a different kind of partnership now, where we're actually keeping more of the food that our community gets within Longmont, and so it's ultimately going to feed more families. And so through these discussions, nonprofits have done some of that problem solving.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question. Did we receive any one-time funding through either ARPA or that was no longer available?
Do you want to talk about that, ARPA funding?
So we did on the homelessness side, Mayor Peck. We received funding for our street outreach, which has been amazing. We have funded HOPE through the ARPA funding for street outreach, and that will no longer be available. That being said, the county and HOPE worked together on applying for state money that we know that they were approved for funding. We just don't know the amount at this point. But
Great.
so we received some good news a couple of weeks ago that they were approved for funding. So and we did budget, and you can see it in our council comms, some money from the City of Longmont 4th Street outreach. But it doesn't cover the entire cost. But we know that we were approved for funding from the state because of the work that Boulder County and Hope did together.
Great. Thank you. Let's see, we have Councilor Yarbrough.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I know it's so tough to determine and stay objective when you know these organizations are out here doing this wonderful work, the needed work, and seeing that every year there's an increase, right? Increase of services, increase of needs. And so I just want to say, Eliberto, thank you, and Christina, thank you so much for listening to the advisory board and trying to make it work is the best way that you can. I know Councilor Rodriguez and myself have both been liaisons, and so we understand all the work that it takes, and then teaching and making sure that the board understands like how crucial this is, and many of them do. And I remember when I was on there, I was like, "Can we get more money? Can we get more money?" That was before I was on city council, and now I understand the ins and outs of everything. No, you can't get more money. But so I just want to say I understand that the application process is. I mean, I remember reading so many. So I just really wanted to just give you kudos and say thank you so much for all that you do. And I know it's tedious work, and I know it's heartfelt work too. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Ditto.
Yeah.
You do amazing work. And I haven't heard any complaints from any of these organizations, but in the past, I have, when they haven't received everything they've asked for. So I think that there is a deep appreciation from the people that we serve and work with, that you serve and work with, as to what your job entails. So the way you present to them and your communication is amazing. So.
Yeah, Mayor, if I can jump in, I think one of the big differences is they've been briefing me on this is really the outreach that Christina and Eliberto have done in taking the time to meet with people.
Right.
And really work through the challenges and the issues. And I think it's really a testament to their interaction and engagement with the agencies that brings perspective to what they're dealing with. And so they've done a really good job of that outreach that helps offset what we used to see. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay. Having said that, can I get a motion to approve the recommendations?
I will approve the recommendations for the 2025 human services.
Second.
So, Councilor Yarbrough moved to approve the 2025 Human Services Funding Allocation. That was seconded by eeny, meeny, miny.
Yeah.
Councilor Christ.
Her name's shorter too.
Exactly. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 6-0 with Councilor McCoy absent. Thank you so much. Made a lot of people happy. So the next thing on our agenda, I am going to remove. It was the council discussion regarding board liaison role. And I think that this would be a good discussion for a pre-session going forward in 2025. So going to remove that from the agenda. And the last thing is the public invited to be heard. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to your council? Last chance. Seeing no one, I'm going to close final call public invited to be heard and go to mayor and council comments. Seeing none? We do? Oh, Councilor Martin?
Thank you. I probably won't be back after the next 2 weeks for a long time. And I just wanted to say to the people of Longmont and to all of my friends over the last 7 years on the staff, especially, thank you so much for putting up with me, for your help and support, and I'm going to miss you guys.
Thank you. I want to remind everyone that we're going to have on the 16th the ribbon cutting closing of Xenia, the Xenia project. So if you're interested in this incredible development, come join us. Is there anything else? I seeing no one else. City manager remarks.
Mayor, council, just so you all know, based on Councilmember Martin's announcement, we're going to be augmenting the agenda. We're going to be adding an item to the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
In terms of providing council with information in terms of the appointment process. And
perfect.
if council has anything that they want us to look at now, great. If not, we're going to bring you just some information for you all to consider. We'll need to, based on timing, and I think Councilmember Martin laid the timing out. With the date being the end of December, you have 30 days
Okay.
from that date. And so we'll definitely have a discussion next week. By the 17th, I think we're going to have a clear path in terms of how you all want to proceed so that when we get into the new year, you all are moving through that process.
Okay, thank you. And now I have some thoughts in my head. When you bring this back, perhaps some thoughts on should each counselor bring 2 or 3 people that they feel would be a good match? Should we open it up to a application process? And you might preferences, exactly. Musical preferences would be good. Yeah. And perhaps other cities, municipalities have gone through this and what their best practices were.
So yeah, we'll generally look to other municipalities. I mean, ultimately, this is going to be the council's decision.
Correct.
And so we're just going to aggregate information and then let you all work through the process.
Okay, sounds great. City Attorney, remarks?
Mayor and council, the city clerk sent us some information. There have been 6 appointments in Longmont since the adoption of the charter.
Oh.
So she's looking at the processes used in those appointments too.
Okay.
And other than that, no comments.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem. I was going to say, what? Somebody speak up. Mayor Pro Tem Susie Hidalgo Faring has moved to adjourn, seconded by Councilor Yarbrough. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Great, we are adjourned. you.